Hi guys, Professor Latimer here, the CC mom who loves science, and I'm here today to bring to you CC Cycle 1, Week 2 Science Experiments. This week we have 2 experiments, but before we get started, we're going to talk about what we're studying this semester is biology, which is the study of life and living things. And then we'll also go over our scientific method, which is the scientific method is question, research, hypothesis, experiment, analysis, conclusion. And have them work on memorizing the scientific method to recite them with you. So this week we have 2 experiments, and one of them is number 54 in your Van Cleeve's book called Telegraph Lines. And the other one is experiment 56, which is belly up. So the first one we'll do is telegraph lines. And this one is going to be talking about spiders and their webs. So you can ask the students some questions about spiders. What do they know about spiders? And how do spiders catch their food? What do they make? What is their home? And talk about their webs. And then ask them about how does a spider know when it's caught its dinner? How does it know when a bug is caught in its web? Or how does it know if there's something dangerous to it that, like a big predator that might have touched its web? So how do we know, how does a spider know what's in its web? So we're going to talk about today. And so this one's a really easy setup. All you need is some string. I just used some yarn because that's what I had on hand, but you could use kite string. You could probably use fishing line, whatever you have. And then just cut a piece to length and tie it either between 2 chairs or between a doorknob and a chair or a table, just kind of what works for your setup. So I just did it between 2 chairs. I'm gonna tilt you forward this way. So I have 2 chairs here, and I just tied the piece of yarn between them. So what you're gonna have is, you'll have your students in pairs, and you'll have one student I found that using just one finger and putting a finger on the string works really well. So make sure your string is tight. And have one student put their finger on the string and then facing away from the other student. The other student is going to pluck the string. So one student is here with their finger on the string and not looking at the other student. And the other student is plucking the string. And you want them to pluck it softly sometimes or pluck it hard and see if they can feel the difference. And you can feel a difference with the yarn too. So how can a spider feel the vibration? So we'll define what vibration is. It's the back and forth movement of the string. And so when something touches the web or gets stuck in the web, it vibrates that thread of the web. And if it's a very small vibration, it might just be the wind, and the spider, doesn't care about that. But if it's a strong vibration, if it moves back and forth a lot, that might be a danger signal to the spider that there's a big predator close by, so the spider might hide, or it can even cut that thread off its web. But if maybe it's a medium vibration, that means it's probably dinner, and so the spider will come out and capture the insect caught in its web. So the spiders have little hairs on their legs that help them feel the vibrations that there's on their webs. And so this is just a cool experiment. You can show them a picture of a spider web, ask them if somebody's ever seen a spider web. And Nicole Lamb on CC Connected posted some really cool pictures of spider webs, but just ask them, if they've seen spider webs, and have fun with this experiment on how a spider can tell what's caught in its web. So that's that experiment. And then the next one is number 56, which is belly up. So I'm going to move one of these chairs in here. And for this one, you'll need probably a towel and a big bowl of water. I filled it probably 3/4 of the way with water. And you'll need a Ziploc bag. This is just a sandwich size, and a straw. And maybe some paper towels. So the first experiment you can have the students do. They can be in pairs, but this one will just be a tutor demonstration, unless you want to have bowls for everyone. But this would probably be a good tutor demonstration one. So this one is called Belly Up. And you can ask him if the students have ever had a pet fish, and if the fish had ever died, if they had a fish that died, what happened? What did the fish do when it died? And, the fish, when they die, usually float upside down in the water. And so Napoleon had this graphic up here that I like to show. So fish float upside down when they die. And why is that? We're going to talk about that. So you can talk about the anatomy of a fish. And Napoleon posted this graphic too. So there's a swim bladder inside a fish, and that's the fish uses its gills and its mouth to absorb air and fill that swim bladder, so it doesn't sink or it doesn't float all the way to the top. It can float inside the water where it wants to. But when the fish dies, that air in the swim bladder kind of gets stuck. But something else happens too when the fish dies. In our digestive system, and in the fish's digestive system, we have bacteria, and it's good bacteria, and it helps break down our food into the nutrients we need, and those nutrients are absorbed into our blood. And then there's waste, and some of that waste is a gas. And so when the fish dies, the bacteria keeps working. There's still food probably in its belly, so that bacteria keeps breaking down the food and creating that gas. And so we're going to show kind of what happens. And I'm going to lower this down so you can see my bowl. Okay. So you're going to take your bag and you're just going to put a little bit of water in it. And this is going to represent, our bag is going to be like the fish. And so the water inside represents like its bones and its skin and its muscles, all like the weighted stuff in the fish. So it doesn't really matter how much water you put in it, but I think this will be good. And then stick your straw in and then zip it up to the straw. And then you're going to blow into the straw to put some air in the bag. And then you're going to take the straw out quickly and seal the air inside the bag. Okay. So I have my air and water inside the bag. And then I'm going to put it in our bowl of water, like our fish tank. And we're going to see what happens. You can ask the kids what their hypothesis is. What's going to happen? Is the bag going to sink or is it going to float? So you can just maybe put it water side down and see what happens to the bag. And so it floats. And the air side is facing up, and the part that has the water, that's what's facing down. So the bag floats. Even though it has some water in it, it still floats because it has that air. And so that's what happens to the fish. It has its swim bladder that has the air in it, but it also has in its digestive system, in its stomach, and its intestines, that bacteria is creating that waste gas that process keeps going even after the fish dies. So it has a lot of gas under here on its belly, and so that makes it want to flip upside down when the fish dies. So those are hopefully some helpful tips for this experiment, and I'll see you guys next time.